Hello, everyone, and welcome to today's co-hosted event with Shopify Plus and CPC Strategy. For today's presentation, we'll be covering the art of selling on Facebook. So for today's presentation, we have the editor-in-chief of the Shopify Plus blog, Tommy Walker, as well as our very own performance social manager, Sarah Rogers of CPC Strategy. So before we get into today's actual presentation, I'd like to discuss a few housekeeping items. You can submit your questions in the chat box to the right. I'll be here behind the scenes, kind of going through all those questions and being sure to pitch those to Tommy and Sarah throughout the presentation is towards the end. Also, the session recording will be sent out tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for an email from me, Nick Cotter at CPC Strategy. Also, we have some more resources in the handout section, a couple guidebooks that we kind of put together. Would love to check those out. There's some pretty good resources there. We will have, I think, just actually one poll question for today. They'll be coming up momentarily. And if we don't get any of your questions today, I do apologize. There's a lot coming through already. We will follow up after the presentation. And so just wanted to discuss a little bit about CPC Strategy and our positioning with Facebook. We're a retail-focused search management company. We focus on paid search, Google Shopping Management, Amazon Sales Acceleration, and we also have our Facebook Performance Marketing, Facebook Advertising Management as well. And as you can see, we're one of the top 50 fastest growing companies in San Diego for 4 years now, something we're really extremely proud of here. Recognized one of the top 10 best places to work in San Diego as well. And as you can see at the bottom there, some of the clients we work with, from the Sears of the world to the Reeboks, down to the brands like Sperry and Rydell's. So without further ado, have Tommy Walker explain a little bit more about Shopify.
Thank you so much. So I'm Tommy Walker with Shopify Plus, and Shopify Plus is the high growth, high volume, and enterprise solution for online retailers and offline retailers as well. And we have brands such as Yeezy, Kanye West brand, Procter & Gamble, Playboy, Radio Shack, and tons more. We actually just launched Lady Gaga today, so I'm pretty excited about that. Yeah, Shopify as a company, we have over 300,000 merchants in, I believe, 250 different countries around the world. And our primary mission is to make commerce simpler for everyone. We'll talk about that later.
Thanks, Tommy. And so as we have here, you guys can see, we have our first kind of poll question for today. We just want to know, give Tommy a little sense of the audience, give a feeling. Are you currently utilizing Facebook as an actual advertising channel? We definitely want to know, are you even using it as a channel at all? Definitely let us know. I got the results kind of coming in now. We'll let those go for a couple more seconds here, but this should definitely help Tommy to tailor his conversation today for today's audience. So I'll close out the poll now and see if I can share those results. Tommy, can you see those?
Yes, I can.
Awesome.
Fantastic. So we have about half of the people here using Facebook and another 23% about just getting started. So it's really great. We got some really cool stuff for you guys. So let me set the stage for you, right? The world that we live in for media and media consumption is a lot more crowded than it ever used to be. In fact, research now shows that human beings' attention spans are now less than a goldfish. Old studies used to say that attention spans were about 12 seconds. Now our attention spans are about 8 seconds. If you're still watching the presentation, actually, I'm very grateful and thank you. And a big reason behind this, why attention spans are now shorter, I think you can recognize this behavior, is we're now spending between 8 to 12 hours consuming media every single day. This is anything between Facebook to Netflix to the 80 times a day that we're on average checking our phones. We are just constantly absorbing and taking in information. And not surprisingly, we're also spending about 105% more time online than we were just 5 years ago. Think about all the cool stuff that's happened in the last 5 years, the rise of Netflix and mobile phones becoming ubiquitous, and everything just becoming much more habit-forming and addictive in some cases. Candy Crush Saga, right? And if you look at the shopping cart abandon rate, to bring this conversation a little bit closer to the online shopping, in the same period of time, from 2010 to 2015, you can see there's a dramatic spike in online shopping cart abandonment rates. This is important to sort of look at the overall scope of behavior with mobile being on the rise and all of these other factors being at play, because we're a lot more distracted than we ever used to be, right? And if you think about what the sales process is like, right, it requires a lot of attention, and the sales process hasn't really changed in about 6,000 years. A little bit of history for you. The first advertisement that was ever found was in China about 6,000 years ago, and it was a painting on a rock advertising a pottery shop. And if you think about what that behavior is, you have to look at an advertisement, go to the place, select the thing you're interested in, and eventually go through the purchase process. And that process isn't different online, right? So we're on Facebook and we see this ad on the right side rail. We click on it, we go to a collection that we like, we find an item that we like, we find a size that's ours, and then we go through the checkout process. And this is where things start to get a little tricky, right? You go to checkout, okay, now I need an account. Now you have the options to connect with Facebook or connect with Google or sign up or log in. I'm the type of person who hates to connect with Facebook, so I'll go to the sign up page, right? And then I'll enter my name and information. And it turns out I already have an account. I didn't realize this. So I use that usual password and nope, turns out that that's not right. So I cave and I finally, sign up with Facebook, and now I'm brought to a completely different part of the experience. And now we have to start over again. Now, we'll go through the whole process here, but on average, I would say that most of us would go, you know what, I don't really want the shirt anymore. And beyond that, I would say at this point, you've probably received a text message, an email, your kid is crying for you in the next room, you have to do the dishes, your spouse is telling you to take the trash out. There's a number of different things that happen that make this process incredibly difficult to go through. And as you can see, even as I'm skipping across some slides, it still takes a lot more. This particular process was about 17 screens. The Shopify checkout research team found that on average, the average checkout process is around 24 screens. And that's really important to keep in mind, especially with the short attention span that people have these days. But my question is, what if we just eliminated the funnel altogether, right? What if instead of advertising on Facebook and trying to bring people to our website and go through this process and try to command their attention for that long, while competing with attention for the place that's supposed to be bringing it, i.e. Facebook, what if we just did commerce within Facebook, okay? And that's where Shopify kind of had the idea of doing this Facebook buy button and setting up the Facebook. So this is very simple and it's very cool. Facebook Shop is the ability to buy products natively on your Facebook page. So this is what it would look like. This is a product or a company that's a Shopify Plus customer called Pure Fix Cycles. And you can see here they have several of their products on the page. And when you open it up, you're not sacrificing a lot of the e-commerce functionality that you might get on your own website. You can see there are multiple product photos. You have the ability to save these, so there's extra stuff that you wouldn't be able to do with on your own website necessarily without special features and coding. You're able to have the multiple product photos. You can select different sizes. And when you click the Place Order button, if you've already checked out with Facebook before, all of your information is saved, and then you're able to just do this. And what's also interesting is you're not sacrificing your ability to do follow-up emails because that's all right there as well. Where this gets really interesting, though, is Facebook's ability to share natively, right? This is where it gets really interesting. So you click share, and you have this standard process, right? You see this share on your timeline. Now, your existing customers would be able to share this if they were interested. And for you, you can also look at sharing on your own timeline, sharing on a friend's timeline, sharing within a group or a page that you manage. There's a lot of really interesting things that we can talk about here. Something very simple, though, is when you share on a page that you manage, that share or that post then becomes eligible for boosting. And Sarah, can you talk a little bit about what's possible when we're able to boost some posts that have native commerce built right in?
Yeah, thank you, Tommy. There's a few really great ways that you can integrate this into your paid social strategy. This is a really exciting prospect for us because, as you know, Facebook is this mobile-first platform, and this process can really eliminate the chunky, clunky online experience that Tommy just walked you through. And so it allows people to buy off their phone more easily, integrates very smoothly with that mobile experience. So there's a couple ways that you can boost this post. One way to do so is where Tommy's at right now. You can click on the product, click share, and that will post the product onto your page, and you can boost this to whatever audience that you would like. The other way to do so is if you click into the shop section of your page, you can click on any products there and boost it there as well. And the third kind of exciting option that you can do there is you can also create a collection. So if you have 5 items from a particular designer, or if you want to show several different colorways of a particular product that you have, you can create this collection, and you can actually boost that entire collection, which makes it a carousel unit. And what we've seen on our side for paid social is that these carousel units tend to have a much higher click-through rate, much higher engagement, much higher return for your money. And so that's a really exciting option that you can use for these.
Something else that I think is really interesting about this is when you start to expand beyond just the products and the native selling here, is that if you were to do a video strategy, and people are doing boosted Facebook videos quite often, instead of having the call to action be somewhere off-site at the end of the video, which is a very common tactic right now, bringing people natively to your Facebook page and making it so they never ever have to leave Facebook, and trying to keep that experience really contained. By keeping that sort of experience all native to the same platform, you're really not jarring anybody, and you're running less of a risk of losing momentum through the clicks. And this is the standard process, right? We can look at this and go, okay, let's put our products on Facebook and see what happens, right? You can just take your regular products and put them out there and see what happens. But I want to challenge people a little bit more, because Facebook has a lot of really inherent things that are social in nature that no other platform has, no other marketplace has, certainly. And there's a way that we can tap into that sort of demographic and behavior a lot more deeply. So what are some ways that we can use this? Well, the first thing I want to challenge people to do is rethink your entire Facebook merchandising strategy. Instead of just dumping your entire inventory on Facebook, think about having Facebook exclusive product lines. Something that's really interesting is the Facebook social graph. So you are able to type in something, people who like my page also like, right? And find a lot of the common interest between the people who are also liking your page. If you use that stuff, if you are thinking sort of expansively about how you can use those similar interests to expand your product line, there are things you can be native to Facebook, the products that you offer, and make it a unique experience and give people a reason to actually want to follow you there, as opposed to just having a bunch of different places that try to point you to the same place all the time, i.e. your website. Another interesting idea that people can sort of experiment with is using your Facebook shop as your own secondary market where your old inventory is sold at a discount. I really like the idea of this because, again, it gives people a reason to follow this page exclusively and buy exclusively from this Facebook page, but it also gives your products sort of a second life, and if you wanted to keep moving things through, there's an opportunity here to really make it a unique experience. Facebook's also a really good place where you could crowdsource exclusive product lines, right? Get people's ideas, run polls, for example, and start to get their concepts into the product development part, and then offer those exclusively through Facebook. Similarly, if you are a company that likes to sort of validate your markets ahead of time and validate your concepts, you can test and validate new products exclusively through Facebook. Again, this gives people another reason to follow there exclusively, but it also lets you know ahead of time, is this something that's going to sell? And if not, then you aren't on the hook for big batch orders and then a ton of dead stock. And then something that's the most exciting to me, I think, is if you were to take advantage of Facebook's network effect and use your shop for flash sales. Think about all of the virality that can come from a well-placed, boosted ad that gets a lot of comments, a lot of shares, a lot of likes, and commerce is native to that product as well. Very, very exciting stuff that's not really being explored a whole lot right now, and a lot of this can be augmented with a lot of paid promotion as well. The Facebook, the flash sale idea in particular, I love the idea of somebody doing a lead-up campaign to get people excited and connected to the page ahead of time before the flash sale actually launches. Some other things you can do, you can participate in trending topics. So this is a screenshot from last week, right? We have trending topics that were Tom Hanks and John Oliver, and you can see the US presidential debate, for example. In every industry, in pop culture in general, there are certain things that we know are going to trend. So when the new Star Wars movie comes out, that's going to be a trending topic. Everybody's going to be talking about that. When the Super Bowl happens, when the next Marvel movie comes out, there are a number of things that we know are going to trend, and if we plan ahead of time to be prepared for when these things happen, there's certainly a lot of stuff that you can do with that. Especially this inspired by product line to capitalize on trending topics. So let me kind of take a step back and talk about that for a second, or give you a relevant example. About a year ago, or 2 years ago, I think it was now, there was the second Avengers movie, and there's a company called 5-4 Club. Some of you might be familiar with them. They're a menswear brand. And what they did was what I thought it was the most brilliant thing I've ever seen. They didn't have officially licensed. I don't believe it was officially licensed, but they had products that were inspired by characters from the movie. So there was a whole, an outfit that looked kind of like Tony Stark from Iron Man, or somebody looked kind of like Thor, and they had very unique styles, and these were all available for sale. And when the movie released, in the same month, they released this promotion, and they were able to capitalize on all of that buzz that was happening around that topic. So if you know that there are certain things that are going to happen, the next Star Wars movie, for example, and you can find ways to incorporate or synergize with your brand, there's certainly ways that you can capitalize on these trends well ahead of time. And alternatively, if you're not into the pre-planning side of things, if you have drop shipping as part of your supply chain and somebody who's able to do rapid designs, just make a design really quick and put a mock-up together, you can certainly put a mock-up up, put it up there for sale, and see if anybody bites on it, and quickly capitalize on those trends. And if it's a drop ship model, you're not having to worry about keeping massive inventory ahead of time, and really, it's not a whole lot of loss if the product doesn't do well. And if it does do well, then you're only making profit, so that's good. And then something else I'd like to encourage, just because of Facebook and the sort of conversational nature that can happen, especially within Facebook groups, is to use Facebook groups to listen to your market. Now, I know that I showed on a slide before that you have the ability to share within a group, share viable products within a group, but I don't recommend that you find groups and then just start blasting your products into those groups. Instead, I recommend starting a spreadsheet that has about 50 groups that are all relevant to your market, and that's not difficult to find at all. And then just listen to the conversation that's happening in that group. And in a lot of groups on Facebook especially, there are passionate people who are participating in relation to the subject matter. For example, my wife was a member of a organic moms group, and they talk every single day about things that were relevant to a parent who wants to raise their child in a more organic and sort of non-traditional kind of way, right? Lots of good conversation that was happening there, and a lot of product recommendations, which was always kind of surprising to me. I always recommend to listen and learn, so you're able to take that feedback and incorporate it into your communication strategies and make it so your offers are a little bit more relevant. But by doing so, you'll also find out who the micro-influencers are in that group. And what I mean by micro-influencers are not people that have, hundreds of thousands of followers on Twitter, but rather, the attention of, 500 to 1,000 people, right? Not people that we would normally go and target, but if you think about the signal to noise ratio with these people in particular, by getting them on your side, you're able to get them to sway groups of people with a lot more clarity, a lot more signal. Something else that's really interesting is I like the idea of cross-promoting and highlighting talented members from the group. There's a old social media narrative, and you've probably seen this before, the discovery narrative, where you find a hidden talent. And in a lot of these groups, there are people who are extremely talented, and if you are able to showcase them to your broader audience, you're going to be able to a lot of their follower base. So let me give you an example of that. Say you are a cosmetics company, and you find in one of these groups a makeup group, right? And there are several of them. A very talented makeup artist. By connecting with them and leverage, like in talking to them, there's an opportunity for you to potentially sponsor their work, but showcase their talent on your broader channels, and by doing so, you can also tap into the membership of the group itself and any of the rest of their social network. And by doing that, you also could encourage both these people and the micro-influencers that we're talking about to share your products into the group. That way you're not the one doing it, but somebody who actually has sway and influence is. And then, quite simply, the last thing you can do is just simply sponsor the group. Lots of these groups are labors of love. People will spend lots of time to moderate and make sure that the quality of the conversation stays relevant. And in some cases, not all, but in some cases, certainly a little bit of monetary compensation goes a long way into rewarding those efforts, and that can look anything like let's curate some products from the page that we're talking about before, but also putting a sponsored banner, right? That if they change the group's image, you're able to sort of get that sort of exposure. And then, quite simply, let's just go back to basics here. You can boost shared posts to tap into newsfeed commerce. And yeah, Sarah, I mean, if you want to talk about that a little bit more, cool.
Yeah, absolutely. So as we mentioned before, if you share these products on your individual page, you can actually boost it and put paid spend behind it. So you aren't necessarily going out and doing grassroots stuff. All those strategies that Tommy just walked you through, those can easily be boosted with paid support. And a couple of thought starters for this. You could be running a video campaign, maybe highlighting a particular pair of shorts that you saw. And you can actually retarget people who viewed that video with that actual product. So they saw those shorts in the video, they actually watched the entire video, and then you can actually show them that particular product so they can easily buy that on their phones. Another thought starter is you could sync this with your email strategy with products. Maybe you are pushing a particular product in your email strategy or a particular collection, and you can actually follow up with those people that are on your email list on Facebook so that they are seeing this both in their email strategy, potentially on site, and also in their Facebook newsfeed. Another thought starter, you could sync this with your paid search strategy. So take a look and see what keywords and what products are receiving the most volume and say, okay, let's see if these products actually work on a social setting as well. So you could put some support behind several of those products on Facebook and test and learn and see which products really can cross over well into your social media strategy, and have those be kind of an evergreen effort in the background. Going back to what Tommy had spoken about targeting those trends, while you can't really target trends yet on Facebook, all these products are eligible to boost against fans. So take Tom Hanks, for example. Say Tom Hanks has a new movie release. You can actually target fans of his page and also fans of his new movie. And so you can really still be on the same vein of that trend. You're not necessarily targeting people that are talking about it right this second, but they're big fans of his. And so it's still relevant and timely and syncs with that feature.
Fantastic. And this was something that just came to mind too in Facebook just released a couple days ago their marketplace, which is kind of a Craigslist competitor in some ways. And what this marketplace is a place that shows localized listings from people who are adding products to groups. It is not currently eligible for Facebook pages, right? So it's not like I'm going to say right now, okay, you can do this, and then you're going to be part of this new Facebook marketplace that they've just offered. However, if I know anything about the social network, and this is not official information, so don't take it that way, it won't take very long for them to tap into their broader business community to make Facebook Shop a part of the marketplace strategy that they're sort of putting together. So there's a really interesting opportunity there, potentially, I think, down the road, just if you kind of look at Facebook's history of how they release products and how they start to integrate them with each other.
Hey, Tommy, I just want to jump in here real quick, too. Nando had a good question regarding the last slide, I believe. You were talking about micro-influencers, and he wants to know, how do you actually go about finding these relevant groups of micro-influencers on Facebook? Is there a way about going about doing that?
Yeah, so if you don't mind my asking, what sort of product category are you selling in? See if we can get that answer quickly.
Let's see if he can actually come. Nando, if you have the product category, you can kind of help out there, but I'm not sure entirely what the product category is as of right now.
Okay. Well, let's say, for example, that you sell cosmetics. The way that you're able to find groups on Facebook is very simple. In the search bar on the very top, in fact, let's see if I can do this right now. Right? We can go, makeup. Right? We'll type in makeup right here, and then all we have to do is go to groups. Now, I'm doing this live, so if it messes up on me, you'll have to forgive me. Okay, so here we go. So we've got Makeup Addicts, Makeup Tips Connection, Makeup and Confidence, Makeup Moguls. There are several groups here, right? And if you are a cosmetics company looking to connect, we're able to see sort of a lot of these groups. Now, some of these groups are closed, some of these groups are open. So that's important to sort of keep in mind. But you can see here, right, 51,000 members, 51,748, 18,420, 538 members, a lot of that. Now, I recommend starting the spreadsheet to keep track of all of these in order to sort of be able to get back to this very quickly, because this is just one keyword. We can type in cosmetics, we can type in, Halloween makeup, we can type in beauty makeup, we can do a number of things there. So we want to be able to keep track of that. But by following that spreadsheet, and by opening these conversations up and just seeing what's happening within these groups on a regular basis, you'll get a sense of who those influencers are. It's not like they have something next to their profile that will say, I'm an influencer, but I'll give you an example from one of the groups that I follow. So we have Shopify. Hold on. Shopify Store Pros. Okay. Now, give me just a moment while this loads up. We're doing live stuff here, folks. As you're looking through the activity, and we're just going to scroll here, you'll end up seeing a lot of the same people sort of posting and getting comments on their stuff and interacting and really driving the conversations. So this person trying to automate dropshipping process more. If your store consists of products from multiple vendors, da-da-da-da-da. Is there an app for this? You can see that there's a lot of good conversation here and a lot of recommendations. The more you are being exposed to these groups, the more you're just listening and paying attention, the more the influential people will start to surface in here. Now, in this particular group, I believe there's 18,000 members here. That's huge, especially if you're going to find, a handful of people who can really sway the conversation and move it forward. I think that answers the question. Do you want to add to that at all, Nick?
Yeah, he said thanks. That definitely answered the question. He's in designer perfumes, so.
Okay, cool. So yeah, I mean, there's going to be definitely a lot of don't just think about the product category itself. There may or may not be people who are perfume enthusiasts and having conversations around that. But where in their lifestyle would a product like that fit, right? There might be groups that are dedicated to luxury lifestyle or, you know, high-end cars, right? Think about what everything else in their life is going to look like, and then see how you might be able to fit into those conversations as well. So yeah,
Great stuff.
good, great question.
Yeah, thanks, Tommy.
Yeah, no problem. And this brings me to my very last point, and then we can open it up to broader Q&A afterwards. Is that I like to encourage people to nail the unboxing experience. What I see happen, and this is in a lot of marketplace strategies, and certainly with Facebook strategies as well, is that the unboxing experience is cost-effective. I think that's the best way to put that. I really want to encourage people to make it so this is something that is share-worthy, and especially on something like Facebook. If you bought a product through Facebook, make your unboxing experience, make there be two goals for the unboxing experience. One, you want the person to take a picture of it and share it with their friends, right? So something that is that feels tangible to your brand. Figure this is the first time that anybody's had a physical interaction with your brand, and that tactile experience is scientifically proven to increase ownership. So if you are just sort of doing the most cost-effective thing with the unboxing experience, you're not going to get as good a results as you might expect. And this especially plays a huge role in return buying rates as well. So one, you want to make it so the unboxing experience is share-worthy, right? You want people to take a picture and share it with their friends on Facebook. But two, I want to encourage you to really try to sort of specialize that unboxing experience and, you know, use something that shows you are acknowledging that they bought this from Facebook. This is going to do a couple of things. One, I believe it's going to encourage people to want to follow your brand on Facebook because you're doing something that's relatively unique. Two, it's going to create that level of endearment where you'll reinforce that share to Facebook, and this applies to, you know, other you know, social commerce strategies as well. Pinterest is certainly one. But it just makes it a lot more relevant and a lot more personalized, and it feels like you're actually paying attention as a brand, and where everything these days is sort of on demand and not feeling that personalized. Something like a, hey, like us on Facebook, or, you know, we know you bought this from Facebook, is going to go a long way. And then three, I'm going to just sort of add this in there too. If you want to be able to do more cool stuff with that person and you have different experiences on your website, use this as an opportunity, especially if you're doing Facebook exclusive merchandising strategies. Use this as an opportunity to drive people back to your own website and show them what more you have to offer. Instead of, if you're showing everybody everything on Facebook, there's no reason to go back to your website, right? And we're not trying to encourage people to not go to your website. We just want to add layers to the overall brand experience, which is really what this whole presentation is about. And that's really all I have. Thank you. I'd love to take some Q&A if you are interested in asking any questions about this or social commerce in general. Yeah, feel free, fire away.
Awesome, thanks, Tommy. I know you actually had a kind of an offer too. I want to kind of share that with the audience as well. I believe it's on your next slide.
Yes, absolutely. Yeah. So we do have an offer going on right now for merchants who are interested, who are on Magento. We have a free data migration offer that expires at the end of the year. There is a link in the chat, or you can follow this bit.ly link here. So bit.ly/Shopify CPC, and we will certainly be more than happy to help you make this a little bit simpler.
Awesome. And then just to make it a little, even make it a little simpler, I'm gonna launch a little poll question while we kind of go into the Q&A here, Tommy. That way, we can actually follow up with them if they actually are interested in kind of using this migration offer. So, but as that's running in the background, let's jump into the Q&A. We have a bunch of good questions for today, so I definitely want to get to the majority of them at least if we can. So definitely, if you have questions, submit those. I'm here in the background. I'm going to be here kind of sifting through all the questions, so we got a good chunk of time left, so let's kind of hop in. First question here, Tommy, is from Joe. He's saying, so the problem he found with the Facebook store and Shopify integration is that it poorly crops photos. Rather than adding white space to make a square, it crops the image. I see your example kind of had the kind of almost the same problem. Is there any idea how to kind of solve this? I think it was referring back to towards the beginning, I believe.
Yeah, so that's actually a really great point. And let me see, I believe it's talking about this slide right here with the see more items. Quite simply, it would be to experiment with a different aspect ratio. You know, like right here, you can see that by uploading the full product, it shows here, which is interesting and great. But over here, would you really lose much if the product was just a little bit smaller and fit within those thumbnails? You know, currently I don't have any other better suggestions than that. And that's feedback I can pass along to the product teams, but I think the simplest fix would be to make sure that you're fitting within this 4:3 or 4:4 aspect ratio as a way to sort of mitigate that a little bit.
Great.
Yeah.
Yes, thanks on that. Another question here from, let's see, going here from John. Wants to know, is there a way to link to a specific product page within the Facebook shop? Where do you get the URL to link to it in the ad?
I'm not sure I understand the question, to be honest.
So it's looking like, all right, so is there a way to link the specific product page within the Facebook shop? So I believe when you kind of showed like the bike, I believe. Is that accurate?
Yes.
Okay. So he's asking, I think, is there a link to a specific product page within the Facebook shop?
Sure. So it's a little hacky, but it's the same as finding the link to any Facebook post, really. Once you share this to your page, if you click on the date and the timestamp, that's going to bring you to the individual page that's not this lightbox or this double lightbox experience. It will actually bring you to an individual page. That you can do it like that.
Awesome. Let's see. Another question here from Cheryl. Would you try to use your company Facebook account or your personal account to follow the groups that you're kind of referring back to a little earlier in the kind of the walkthrough?
Yeah, I would definitely use my personal account. There's a very fast way to get banned. Leveraging the groups and interacting with the groups, it's one of those situations where if they catch you selling, you're probably going to be out. You have to really keep in mind that that human element of interaction with groups. And as a marketer, I personally have a bit of a hard time with that, to be honest with you. Some people are way more community-minded, and if you have somebody that's community-minded, that's definitely the person who should be looking in there and interacting.
Awesome. Thank you, Tommy. Let's see. We went over Nando's question about the micro-influencers, so that's good. Another question here from Mitchell. Any advice for...
Great questions, by the way.
Yeah, there's definitely some questions. Question here from Mitchell. Any advice for a product that is more personal? Our products help women with urinary incontinence. That's not said incorrect.
Incontinence.
Yes, incontinence. Sorry. So as you can imagine, they generally don't want to share that information. Also, are there restrictions on Facebook for products like that? And where would I look to contact to confirm? We don't want to violate any terms of service, really.
Yeah, I don't believe it's against any terms of service. I would Google that and just explore it a little bit. I will say that probably people aren't going to put incontinence in their in the likes and interests section in their profile, and you do have to keep the sort of demographics of the network itself in mind. So this may not be one of the best places for that, for native selling. However, there may be a play where you're, just off the top of my head, you could create a page that might be thinking about, making fun of getting older, right? Instead of trying to solve the problem head on, perhaps a little bit something more indirect and poking fun at old age, or something of that nature. And and use that as a sort of top of the funnel way to bring people in, and think of maybe products that could be around that. That would be my recommendation if you wanted to try to go social selling with a product like that.
Great. Thanks, Tommy. Question here actually directed towards Sarah. Mark wants to know, he's kind of new to Facebook advertising, and he hears mixed reviews as well. He wants to know kind of what are the benefits of actually using ads like the dynamic ads for Facebook for like kind of retailers.
Yeah, absolutely. So that's something we actually specialize in over here at CPC Strategy, is the dynamic ads on Facebook for retail. We always see those being the strongest performer. So if you're going to be on Facebook and you have a product feed, we highly recommend that you use these dynamic ads. We tend to see those have the highest ROAS, ROI, the lowest cost per click, and they're just the very bottom of the funnel. So you can retarget people who've abandoned your cart on site. You can retarget people who've just generally visited your site. And we see that being a very strong performer for you, and just kind of in general for our clients. So that's the first thing that we always recommend.
Awesome. Thanks, Sarah. Let's see, a question came in here from Ryan, directed kind of towards Tommy. Not sure, Tommy, if you can go into too much detail about this. Let's see. So he wants to know, how can we add the checkout with Google or sign in with Facebook to our page? We were recently invited to have checkout with Amazon, but we want the Google and Facebook on our Magento-based website too. The Magento aspect.
Yeah, I honestly, I couldn't tell you.
Yeah, I didn't see the Magento. I was going to say the Shopify. Kind of question just came in, so.
Okay, so they are with Magento or they're with Shopify?
They're with Magento. Sorry, I thought I just was reading it as it came in. I thought it was actually going to say Shopify. So.
Okay, yeah, I couldn't tell you about how that worked with Magento. I do know that those are native integrations with our checkout on Shopify. So I join Shopify, take up on our migrate from Magento offer, and not have to worry about installing that because our checkout team does it for you.
Of course.
On that line, while I'm giving the pitch, because why not? I want to actually show just how simple this is to do in Shopify, because
nice. This is what you wanted to do this.
This is one of those things where people might wonder, like, okay, this is going to be a lot more complicated. This looks complicated. Am I going to install a module that breaks? So that breaks the rest of the site? And the answer is no, not on Shopify. So here's what our product page looks like, and it's very simple. If you're familiar with WordPress, this is a very, very simple process, right? You enter the title of the product, your description, and then you upload your images, 4x4 if you're looking at exclusively putting it on your website. And then from here, all you would have to do is highlight your Facebook, and then even potentially Messenger. And now this product, if you only have these two buttons installed, or these two checkboxes done, it's only going to show up on Facebook or on Messenger, which solves that aspect ratio problem that we were talking about before, if you don't want to have multiple things in multiple places. And then you can organize it, you can put in your vendor, talk about which collection you want to put there, set your pricing, add tags. There's a number of things that you could do here. But it's meant to be as simple as possible. And then once you have it there, it's as soon as you click Save Product, it's going to be available on your Facebook shop right away. Something that's interesting here too, we didn't talk about this in the presentation, but we also have native integration with Facebook Messenger. And this is what this looks like. Here's that company I was showing you before, Pure Cycles. As soon as somebody clicks the Messenger button, and you can install this, and I'll show you what this looks like too on the Shopify Plus blog. Right. On Shopify Plus, now I don't have this installed on the Shopify Plus blog, so I'll kind of show you both ways of how this would work and what it looks like. I'm just going to let this load up. Down here you can see this Messenger button. Shopify Plus blog is run off of a Shopify store, so you can get a sense of that. And you would basically open this up. They would bring you into a Messenger, and then you can see from here you're able to just chat natively. with stores that have this enabled, the first thing that happens is it says get started, and then you've got shop now, view website, or learn more. If I click shop now, what it will do is bring me some of the new product picks that are available for buying right here. And then we can just start to buy directly from this place. So very, very cool stuff that's possible with this integration that we're able to do there. So I just wanted to kind of give you a sense of how simple that actually is.
Awesome. Thanks, Tommy.
No problem.
Question here from Brian as well. Could be directed towards more Sarah, but let's jump into it here. He wants to know, can you retarget someone if they look at a product in Facebook but does not actually buy that product? And then also kind of a follow-up question, can you run an abandoned cart email based off of that?
As far as I know, you cannot retarget those people. So retargeting in terms of the dynamic ads is actually based off of the pixel on your website. And because this is in the Facebook platform itself and you don't actually go to the site, I don't believe you're going to be able to retarget yet those people. I imagine that's something that Facebook will eventually come out with, but since this is really the first iteration of this product, I don't believe that's available.
Great. Thanks, Sarah. We got a question here directed more towards Tommy. Let's see. Sean wants to know, we're a Shopify Plus store. We have the Facebook shop enabled, but it is automatically pulling in all product images, even though most of them are hidden on the actual PDP. Is there a way to limit what shows up on Facebook?
Yes, there is, and that's done by collections. And I would recommend reaching out to your merchant success manager to really dive into that because they would probably be able to help a little bit more with the nitty-gritties of the details on that one.
Awesome. Let me just make sure. Oh, okay. This is a good question from Ian earlier. I believe it was towards the inspired product line slide. I want to say a couple slides back here. He wants to know, as far as inspired product lines go, our clients are wine liquor stores. So an example in our industry can be holidays, such as products specializing on a holiday. October beverage industry has a lot of pumpkin drinks and beers, etc. Is that what you mean by an inspired product line?
Absolutely. So yeah, especially with holidays, if you are a retailer that does wines, you know, certainly themed items like that. Like I technically default to the retail world because that's where I come from. But yeah, I mean, you know, and something as simple as like Rosh Hashanah just happened, right? I don't know if there's really a crossover there for Rosh Hashanah and wine. But there are certainly different things that you could do there. I think that's brilliant. Absolutely.
Awesome. And so that's kind of going to do it for the live Q&A. But before we kind of hop off here, I want to kind of ask you and Sarah as well. We're in Q4. All right. So we're October. We're just getting started with Q4. You know, the holiday shopping it's started.
Mm-hmm.
And so I guess is there anything you kind of leave the audience with? You know, maybe a couple tips as far as kind of a Facebook marketing perspective, what they should be paying attention to, kind of going into Q4 and ramping up for the holiday shopping season?
Sarah, I'll let you kick that off.
Sure, thanks. Yeah, I would say look back at your data. What happened last year? What products sold really well? What products have been selling well this year? And really focus on that. So in these shop examples, syncing with your paid search strategy and knowing what is trending right now, what you're anticipating being a large product, and making sure that you're putting your paid dollars where you're going to be strongest. Particularly on Facebook and in social media, Q4 becomes a really expensive and competitive time period. So making sure you have your best foot forward is something that we highly recommend. And also having those dynamic ads running. Those are going to be your bread and butter as long as you have a product feed. So that in conjunction with just knowing what products are going to sell really well for you is what I would really highly recommend in Q4.
Absolutely. And I would recommend, you know, if you are interested in doing something with Facebook Shop, like really think about what it would be to run a holiday sale through something like this, and how you might be able to mitigate, especially in cases where you know that server issues are going to be a problem. If you're on a competing platform right now, if you're not on Shopify, think about what it would take to run sort of an exclusive sale through Shopify on a lower price plan, and potentially get people to shop natively with on Facebook in order to prevent any sort of site crashes that might happen on your own site. Or if you are on Shopify already, I would encourage you to really just think about how you can leverage the Facebook Shop sort of experience, or in social commerce experience in general, to really just make it unique to the virality that can happen by having everybody's friends list connected to your actual viable products.
Awesome. Thanks, Tommy. And I knew we were going to kind of sign off there, but there's 2 questions on my list that I didn't see. And so let's just finish off with these last 2 questions here. Definitely want to get to these. And so it goes back to your boosted post example. Marge wants to know, hasn't seen great results with boosted posts, but you mention them pretty frequently. Is there a reason boosted posts kind of work in the scenario kind of you were describing earlier? Like, what is your perspective, I guess? What is your view on boosted posts? Kind of that's what she wants to get at.
Sure, I'll take this one. A lot of this has to do with it being a new product, so I would definitely say test and learn. We're also testing and learning on our side to see what really works for each of our individual clients. So make sure you're testing out the different products that you have. Maybe it just wasn't a particular product that was as strong for you, or maybe it just didn't resonate with a social audience. And also along those lines, making sure that you're boosting that to the most highly relevant audience possible. So people who have maybe abandoned that particular item on your Facebook, on your actual website, or people who have visited, or people that are in your CRM list. So making sure that that's being boosted to a highly relevant audience to be able to buy that. This probably doesn't work quite as well for prospecting, simply because it's very much, it doesn't allow them to explore on your site. You're kind of initiating the fact that they're likely familiar with your product or with your brand. So for the paid posts, I recommend doing it against first-party audiences, people who visited your site, people that are in your CRM network.
Thanks, Sarah. One last question here from Raj. This one's directed more towards Tommy. Wants to know, how do you actually generate kind of interest for products that aren't so sexy, products like plastic glasses? You talked about, obviously we talked about cosmetics before and generating interest there, looking at the different groups. Is there any kind of pointers you can kind of give him to help generate interest for plastic glasses, plastic wine glasses, anything like that? That's kind of different products, obviously, I'm selling on Facebook, so.
Yeah, I mean, with the Facebook environment, I would say if we're talking about plastic wine glasses specifically, instead of plastic eyeglasses, it comes down to the lifestyle, right? And it comes down to sort of what's your value proposition overall. And this isn't related to just Facebook Shop. This is kind of Commerce 101 there, where what's the value proposition and what's the lifestyle that you're trying to fit into. What I see very successful merchants do is once they're able to sort of learn from their customers who are buying how they're using the product, they're then able to sort of reflect that in really interesting product photography and compelling copywriting and everything of that nature. But really it comes down to just doing the research on how these products are being used, and then how can you position them through both your imagery and the copy that you're using. And in the Facebook environment in particular, adding that extra layer of like, and then how do I tap into a social graph with these sort of assets.
Fantastic. Thanks, Tommy. So that's going to do it for today's presentation with Shopify Plus. I want to thank everyone for joining us for today's presentation. Like I said earlier, this was recorded, so it will be sent out tomorrow morning, so be on the lookout for an email from me. But other than that, that will do it for today. And again, I want to thank everyone for joining us. I want to thank Tommy Walker from Shopify Plus and Sarah Rogers from CPC Strategy. Other than that, everyone have a good rest of your day.
Thank you so much.